Let's understand what is React Redux. See, basically, so far we managed to save a state, right? Where did we create a state? We created a state of accounts and managed to create a state of list of accounts within that. Next, we tried, we could now, if you want to store it into a persistence database, we saw how to use REST API. Similarly, you can call a REST API from your React.js, connect to a database and save the data. So that is another type of persistence. But in between, there is another type of persistence which is really brilliant innovation by Facebook. That is React Redux. React Redux will maintain the state of your application in a store for your entire app. It is not just for one component. State was for per component. Here, how does it work? And there is no lifting of state and all here. What here it will do is basically React Redux. Let me repeat. The React Redux is a store for your data across the app. So now, what are the first thing we have seen? We saw that you can use state, correct, at the component level to store data. We created some accounts. Next is we saw the REST API. Using the REST API, you can always connect to a database and do a major persistence using database connectivity. Now, in between lies another innovation from Facebook, which is allowing you to store a state across your app. Okay, so this allows you to store a state across your app using your Redux store. So now remember, now this app Redux, React Redux is across components, it's across your app. Okay, it's not a state of a component, it is the state of your Redux. Redux is the state of your app. So this is really a temporary store across your app. Okay, so which is really accessible across your apps in all the components. So you can consider this like a little bit of a persistence concept only, okay? But this is across app. So the Redux store state can be modified by actions, something called as actions from components, from any component. These are like Redux actions, but only through the functions called as reducers, okay? Special functions called modifiers or reducers, okay? Any change in the state. Now, if any of this app state changes because of this modifier and Redux, everything is passed to the component as props. That state of the entire Redux store gets passed. And actions to change the store is passed from components using the connect method. Okay, so these are some important concepts here. So how this happens, how the action is dispatched, how the actual change is passed to the component as props, that we will see the syntax later. Now, the important critical dependencies, you need to install the save React, React DOM, React Redux, React Scripts Redux. Okay, if you don't install these dependencies, your React Redux won't work. This is as per the latest version I'm talking about. As you all know, React.js also keeps on evolving, but as of now, you need to have this second line important dependency installed. Then what else you need? You'll have to create an action. What do you want to do? Actions are nothing but pure functions, JSX. Then reducer, as we know, reducers will take your function action and check like what you want to do, and then as per the payload assign the thing to the and assign the value to the store and return your value. Now finally, the store is app store, which the state changes based on actions sent from the reducer. This is basically your app store. Okay, that also you'll have to create. Actions, reducers, stores, these are some of the fundamental parts of your structure. Using actions, you can update a store via reducers. Okay, so why do we do that? Is because this is across components at the app level, right? Any update to the store will get propagated to all the components using the provider context. So let's see an example here. Basically, this is best learned by the concept of Redux is best understood by actually building it. So let us get together from Redux. Input create store from Redux. By the way, you don't need to by heart the syntax. It's good to remember, but no need to by heart anything. The APIs are freely available for use. And now we need to create one store. And pass it a reducer. So what this means is basically inside the store, any changes will happen through that reducer. So now we have not created any reducers here, so we will not pass any for now. Okay, with this much, what we have to do is we have to enclose this in provider. The app now has to be stored in a provider. Provider is a context. Context means what? Any values, attributes will get passed to all the child components. And now one more thing we need here is the store. What is the store of your app? Which we just created now. Okay, so with this our index.js is partially over. So let us do one thing. Let's create actions first. Call it actions.js and say const. We're going to create contacts this time. So I'm going to say type of action is going to be create contact, and contact is just a variable that I'm passing. Alright, so what does this mean is this method is expecting a contact. Now this is going to come from our app.js, from the button. Okay, this can be a array, this can be anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to build this much and keep it here. Okay, so we have created our first action here. Now also let's create our reducer. So the code for reducer is pretty much the same. What it does is, if you want to create something, it's going to not mutate the state of the store. It's going to create a duplicate state and return the value in a object. Update it and return the value in an object and call it actions. So what it is doing is, let's understand this reducer will always get the state, okay, in the form of an array and the action when it is dispatched, when this is dispatched. So this now it will come here and check your payload action type. So you have passed this payload here, create contact. So it has to be of type text. Sorry, single quotes, double quotes, both will go. So if you go over here, we need to say create contact. I just want to check. Okay, create contact. And so what this happens is, let's understand the syntax. This is the spread operator. This returns a value, okay? This returns the state, whatever is the current state. After the state has got added, object dot assign is, it will create a new object, and whatever that action dot, like say whatever we are passing. If you take the action, in this case, I'm going to pass contact here. See, please understand this contact is going to come in from this parameter, and it's going to get assigned here. Okay, this parameter is going to get assigned here. I can give like contact 1 here, maybe to make it more clear. So this contact is the parameter which comes in and gets assigned to the property of this action contact 1, and this one I'm going to access over here, action dot contact 1. So this is going to create a new store state, add this state value to it, and then return it back to us. You can have multiple case conditions here. Right now we are just going to keep one. Okay, this syntax is pretty much same for all the reducers, but what you do within your switch depends on you. Okay, so now reducers is ready, now our action is ready. Now let's add the reducer to the index, and as usual we have a constructor. And now a couple of things here now which need to be added to this app.js is, let's add the connecting methods. As we go back to the slides to understand. So build the action, we have done that. Build the reducer, we have done that. Now we need to build the map state to props. So what this does is that, so this is basically what map state to props. It's the name of the method, takes two properties injected by React.js. State is the state of that Redux store. Now here what happens is map dispatch to props. So this is basically a call to the dispatcher reducer. So here we are going to say, what's our action here? Create contact action. Action dot create contact is what we have to props to app. So that way the connection will happen. Okay. If you don't do that, then it will not work. So this way what you're telling is connect the Redux store, connect the map state props, dispatch props to this app. Okay. So now we need to need to create a return some div, and we say input and let's give it a ref. Contact name and again let's keep it let's have one more value, contact phone. So I want to create two values here. For now I'm going to keep it as text. We can make it as number also later. I'm going to call it contact phone. Alright, so we have two tags here. And we're going to put it inside a form. Which will have an on submit. And you have to create a submit method first. So let's say we created a submit method and we need to bind the submit. Now we are not yet updated the Redux store, okay? So let us see how to do that.